What's up guys, it's me Ali, attempt to bring you an update to the Whirlwind guide that we have on the channel right now. Cause the build has evolved a bunch in the last couple of days. Things got disabled, things got enabled, some unintended interactions were happening that were fixed. But we also found out the Overpower tech, which is taking the build damage to new heights. It's helping the build out so much. It's kind of weird because Whirlwind didn't used to be able to benefit from Overpower at all, and now it's one of the main reasons we're doing insane amount of damage. This build right now can easily farm T125, maybe with better gear, like if you actually get the good Banished Lords. On that note, by the way, they are supposedly gonna be adding Banished Lords, debolts and stuff like that to a boss drop pool, because currently all these generic uniques are not dropping from bosses, so they are much harder to get. Once they actually drop from bosses, getting one with crit chance and all the damage multipliers will be much easier, right? Which will just increase your damage a lot. That being said, this build can still speed farm 125s. It can still almost one-shot Mephisto. On the last phase, I killed Mephisto in what, 3 to 4 seconds? It's quite insane, right? The max hit I've seen currently was an 85 trillion, right? And that's with like a not so good Banished Lords, not having any of the strength gems modifiers, right? Those things basically double or even triple your damage if you have the 32% physical damage gems with a good roll on the gem strength. It's insane amount of damage that gives you. And even without that, this build still claps Mephisto really easily. Now, this is the setup that deals the most damage on Whirlwind. As you can see, I'm not running Selig. The reason is Selig is a damage loss. Now, the thing that Selig allows you to do, if you want to push like 125 plus to 130 plus tower, then you'll need Selig, because Selig will make you a lot tankier. If you don't care about that, if you just want to do general content, this build will just be much better. You'll be one-shotting bosses. Instead of killing them in a couple of seconds, you'll literally be one-shotting them, right? It will save you a bit of time. You will not die unless it's a straight one-shot from mechanics that you probably will not be tanking with Selig. Normal explosions on T12, I can tank 1 or 2 without dying. If you stand on more of them, that's a skill issue. Right? Anyway, right, let's actually get into the build. So, before we actually talk about the Overpower stuff, I do want to talk about T-Bolt's Will. A lot of people don't understand this, how you're generating a bunch of fury on this build. It's thanks to T-Bolt's Will. T-Bolt's Will is actually insane, especially now that we'll be able to farm better ones, right? You get, first of all, 20% increased damage. That's a random aspect that you can get. That's not the big deal, right? The 50% resource generation is insane. You basically don't need resource generation anywhere. You can even run Lucians as a charm, which increases your damage even more, right? It's insane. The reason, the way you proc this, by the way, is by either using Iron Skin, which with unstoppable upgrade, or using something like a Ja rune, which Ja by itself can easily proc this, right? You can cast teleport from Ja with Igni. You can easily cast it every 3.5 seconds or something like that. It's really easy to get going. Not only does it give unstoppable, it also gives you a lot of mobility, which especially helps on Mephisto fights because the hands are brutal. But yeah, it's a lot of resource. Make sure to also have your Rounding Cry going all the time. So just TLDR, when you start the build, when you start doing damage, you proc Unstoppable, you cast Rounding Cry, and then you start spinning. Don't start spinning before you cast your first Rounding Cry. At that point, you'll just spin forever as long as you keep proccing Unstoppable, just by teleporting around or using Iron Skin. And make sure you keep casting Rounding Cry every 4 or so seconds to actually get the resource generation it provides. Now, the big damage boost, the big change we have from the Endgame guide. By the way, the reason I still have the Endgame guide up instead of swapping to the Overpower one is because getting to the Overpower setup can be a bit harder. Not only is Banished Lords currently a bit rare, right? It's also, you also have to have the Dominate Glyph upgraded, right? It's a bit harder to get going, while the Endgame one, the Endgame setup, it's much easier to get going, even though it has mythics, which is a weird thing to say. Nevertheless, mythics are much easier to get this season. So, Banished Lords, what does it do for you? If you're running an Overpower setup, you need to run Banished Lords, right? Or else you're not getting a lot of damage. Banished Lords just gives you an easy way to get your Overpower stacks, right? Like you just get the overpower stacks from Banished Lords, super easy, and gives you 18% damage per overpower stack. Now you might look at this and think, well, you know, 18 for overpower stacks, that's not really a lot. That's what, 36 times 2, that's 72, quick maths. But yeah, 72%, that's not a lot for an amulet slot, right? And you'd be right. The thing is, your max is not for overpower charges. Your max is actually 12, thanks to the tidal aspect. Yes, you're running this on a two-hander, but it is incredibly worth it. Not only does it give you another 144 damage on top of the 72 already had from Banished Lords, bringing it up to 216%, I think, quick maths, right? 216% multiplier, which is insane. Not only that, you also, we're gonna come back here in Paragon in a second, but you also have this Dominate Glyph, right? As you level this thing up, look, this is not maxed out, this is 131 right now, I believe, level, and it's still giving you 271 damage per overpower stack, right? You get 12 of them. This is easily over 3000 additive damage. Not only that, you can also get it, for example, on your weapon, 30% more damage per overpower stack, right? You have 12 of them. This is 360 additive damage from the temper. And you can get it on other weapons, on your gloves, on your rings. You're not going to get it on the rings for a thing we're going to cover in a second, but yeah. It's an insane amount of damage you gain from this. This stack is 100% worth using. Everyone that's pushing, even on Selig setups, is just using Banished Lords. You don't need Endurance Faith to survive. I will potentially make a video on the Selig setup if you guys really want to, let me know down below. For now, we're just gonna cover this one because I do believe this is the best version of Whirlwind for anyone to run if they don't care about pushing tower, which is like 99% of the people that would be watching this video, right? So yeah, if you want like a push video, let me know in the comments. I might make one covering that setup. But yeah, currently, let's actually go over, first of all, the skills we're going to be using. I already yapped a lot about the other things. First of all, Whirlwind, you're going to be maxing it out. Dust Devils, of course, the most damage. Cost damage bonus. A bit of Fury, you deal 40% more damage, 1% worth it. Channel damage bonus as well, a bit more damage, really good. Rallying Cry, this is really important that you don't mistake this. I've seen a lot of people make this mistake, they take the wrong upgrade, they don't take the potency here, right? You need this upgrade, Booming. This it just gives an insane amount of resource generation, which is then amplified by potency, right? And then you also take Fortify to easily get a source of Fortify for the build. You can easily spam this more or less if you're running Starless. So yeah, it's very good. We're also running Challenging Shout, not only for the DR is quite nice, but we are also running it for the damage bonus here. This damage bonus is mostly there for bosses on general, like once you have a lot of enemies it's not helping a lot, but the damage reduction sure is. You also increase the duration here, right? Other than that, let's cover the other shout first of all, right? Warcry here, a lot of damage bonus with a lot of ranks, right? The ferocity here, you can take one or the other, it doesn't really matter. You are not really scaling attack speed that much, and you're taking the increased duration, as well as the Mighty Roar for a bit more damage. The Berserking again doesn't really matter. Other than that, before the ultimate, you're running Iron Skin. The reason for Iron Skin, not only are you running a life build, right, so the shield is very nice, but it also gives you a sort of unstoppable. Now, if you're running Ignija, you don't need this, but realistically there's not really any other skills you'd want to run anyway, so just take Iron Skin with Juggernaut for the unstoppable, get a bit of an additional movement speed, which is very nice, and increase maximum life when you have it, because why the hell not? Last one, our ultimate, Call of the Ancients. This is just here to provide damage. I've seen a lot of people asking, why don't you run Wrath of Berserker and stuff like that? Call of the Ancients, even if you disregard Highlander, it's still more damage than Wrath of Berserker. It has basically double the uptime almost, right? It has half the cooldown, and it just provides a lot more damage. Wrath of Berserker just makes Berserking go from 25. This is not the 100% damage multi, by the way, right? This just makes your Berserking go from 25% to 50%. It's not even a 25 damage bonus at the end of the day. While Call of the Ancient, straight up just gives you a 20% for 6 seconds and 7% per Ancient you have. Now, you'll be running this with Highlander. Highlander does mean you lose 2 Ancients, right? You can only have 1 out at a time, but you'll be losing a bit of damage here, but you'll be able to constantly have this thing up if you want, right? Because the cooldown goes down to 2 seconds. So you can just easily spam it, get a 20% damage bonus and a 7%, which ends up being like 20% damage bonus, 28% damage bonus to your damage. It's very good. It's way better than Wrath of Berserker. You can run Wrath of Berserker if you feel like, you know, it feels better. It does feel better to play, but Wrath of Berserker is just kind of bad. So yeah, I don't know why anyone would run this, but yeah. I guess. I'm not a Wrath of Berserker hater, okay? It just kinda sucks. It is what it is. Now, let's quickly go over our Paragon board. I've been, you know, going on too many tangents right now. First of all, our first board, Warbringer. This is here. It gives you a bit of damage, is nice. A bit of fury, a bit of another source of fortify. It's nice. We're mostly taking it for the fury we have on the board, for the Ram Ladness, which is very lovely. The other one we're gonna be running is Carnage, 45% increased damage, very nice. 15% attack speed, you don't care too much, but it's nice. And mostly for the crit chance over here, it really helps a lot, cap your crit chance. The other board we are running, of course, Blood Rage, 60% damage. By the way, I keep hearing people ask about this, I'm gonna mention it. These are 2 different effects on the Blood Rage, alright? The first effect, killing an enemy affected by damage over time, gives you 10% chance to get berserking for 5 seconds. You don't really care about that. That's way too inconsistent. It doesn't work on bosses. It's kinda useless. You're just taking it for the 60% increased damage while berserking, right? That's the only reason you're taking it. And lastly, you're gonna be taking Flawless Technique. 5% crit chance, again, crit chance is really hard to come by, really helps, and it's a bigger multiplier, right? 50% damage multi, very nice. Now, when it comes to the glyphs you're running, the one that you always need to run is going to be Dominate. Dominate is, like we talked about earlier, it's an insane amount of damage for the build. You must run this, okay? Other than that, of course, we're going to be running Twister as well. Twister is incredibly good for the Stables builds, just an insane amount of additive damage and multiplicative damage. It's insanely good. Now, when it comes to here, as you can see, I'm running Executioner. The reason I'm running Executioner is because Crusher is not currently working with two-handed maces. You know, consequently, we're also, instead of running a two-handed mace, which I'm going to cover the gear section in a bit, we're not running a two-handed mace as your main weapon, you're running Polearm as your main weapon. If you could run Crusher, two-handed mace would be better. You can't run Crusher, it is what it is, right? You just run the Polearm as your main weapon. Other than that, here, I'm running Might, and I'm also running Exploit down here. Exploit is going to be your source of vulnerable for this build. Again, you're one-shotting everything. This build is not meant for pushing. You can still do you can speed farm 125s. You don't need more than Exploit for vulnerable uptime, because things just die way too fast. Yes, on bosses you have a bit of downtime, but realistically, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. You just kill them. Instead of killing them in 5 seconds, you kill them in 4. Instead of killing them in 4, you kill them in 5 seconds, you know. Doesn't really end up making a lot of difference for this setup, for what the purpose of this build is. I've considered swapping Might a lot. I'm not 100% sure if it's the best option or not. This is something I might have to revisit, but it does feel like the best one, because you don't have to spend a lot of points, right? You'll be running out of points at some point. You will not be able to max out all glyphs around, all the points around the glyphs. And Might doesn't really, it just needs you to take 40 strength to unlock it. And then it just buffs all these nodes here to give you a bunch of additive damage, which is quite nice. Now, going quickly over our expertise, I'm running 200 axe. The reason for that is it does have a 10% multi, and it gives you critical strike chance. If you don't need a critical strike chance, go ahead and run the 200 axe expertise. It's a 15% damage multi, it's quite nice. And the fury per second is also quite helpful. Now, quickly going over the gear here, one thing I do want to point out, we are running Edge Master. Edge Master is back on the menu, alright? As always, as I talked about earlier, Pole Arm is going to be your main weapon right now, so make sure you have weapon damage on that one instead of your mace. But yeah, when it comes to Limitless Rage, the reason I'm pointing it out specifically is you will want to get Lucky Hit on your rings and Amulet Tempers. I don't currently have it because the Amulet was already transfigured. I'm trying to get the better Banished Lords, so I can swap it. But yeah, just these two are good enough. The reason you want to take this is so you actually can cap your Limitless Rage quite consistently on bosses. Without them, you can't really get the Limitless Rage capped on bosses, so you really need it. For speed farming, this tempers and Fury and Kill that you have on the board will be more than enough to just give you cap constantly while you're farming. Now, the other aspects are quite simple as well. Channeling is here, big damage. We're also taking Crushing because we have Fortify, so why the hell not? Big damage as well. And like we talked about earlier, Tidal Aspect, right? This is really important to enable the Overpower playstyle. Without this, there's almost no point in playing Overpower, alright? Other than that, the other aspect is going to be defensive one, Heavenly Strength. This is really important so you can actually survive damage on T12. And lastly, we're running Earth Striker here. You either have Earth Striker or, really important, Anger Management. You either have one on the amulet and the other on the boots, or vice versa, right? Anger Management is really important for your berserking uptime, alright? I have it cubed here on the amulet, but if you don't have it on the amulet, just drop a striker and you run it here. I'm gonna have a link to the build guide down below, so make sure to check it for the best stats and everything else on the gear, because I'm just running with what I have currently, right? I don't have best in slot gear. It's much easier to get best in slot gear this season than it was in any of the previous seasons, so make sure to check the build guide down below to see what is the best stats you want to get on your gear. Other than that, uniques, like we talked about, Banished Lords, right? Really important for the Overpower, gives you an insane amount of damage. Gores, another great, I mean, it's basically a staple now on Whirlwind. For the longest times we've been playing Whirlwind builds without Gores. I really hated that. It was what it was, right? It was not good, but now Gores is an insane powerhouse for Whirlwind builds. The damage it gives you, it's insane. It also gives you quality of life with the pull, and the pull is actually much better than the aspect was in the other seasons, so it's incredibly good. And as always, T-Bolts here, just a good damage multiplier and an insane Fury generation, which basically enables the whole playstyle we have right now of spending an insane amount of Fury, right? Alright guys, I totally did not forget to talk about the Ramalin Dong Dong, right? Yeah, it's good. Trust, you stack Fury, it gives you damage. I don't think I need to sell it to anyone else, right? Rama, really good. She's been with us for a long time, really good. Trust, very good. Yep. When it comes to mythics, the only two mythics that are worth it here are Herb Perdition and Ring of the Starless. Both of them give you good damage, but the main reason you run them over anything else is the insane amount of crit chance they give, which makes capping the gear on the build much easier, the crit chance, right? One thing I do want to point out in regards to crit chance on the build, as you can see, some of my weapons have overpower damage, some of my weapons have critical strike chance. You ideally want to have damage per overpower stack on everything, but capping crit chance can be hard. So if you don't have enough, like to 100% crit chance, and remember, you only need 90 if you're running the Paragon board, which gives you 5%, and the Axe Expertise, which gives you another 5%, so you only need to have 90% while sitting in town, right? But if you can't reach that 90%, make sure to get some critical strike chance on your weapons. If you don't need it, get the damage per overpower stack. It's quite a lot of damage at the end of the day, right? Now, the big thing here you might not see is Grandfather. Grandfather is good, but we kinda need Limitless Rage on a two-handed weapon, so it is what it is, right? As always, Selig is not run on this setup because this setup is maximizing damage and you don't need Selig to survive T12, right? If you're on the push, I do have a Selig variant again. It's going to be on the build guide that's linked, it's going to be there as well. I might or may not make a video about it because I don't know how many people are interested in it. but we'll see. Anyway, before we go to the next session, I'm just gonna quickly over all the gear so you can see what I'm running. When it comes to the runes, Bakke for the shields, really good, and Ignija just gives you the unstoppable and a good amount of mobility. Going over our talismans, right? Talismans, quite important this season. Of course, Crown of Lucian, insane damage, alright? Insane damage. This is what? You can get 6 stacks. This is a 90% multiplier. It's really, really good. Now, one thing I do want to point out here, since we're not running Grandfather, you will need 2 charms with all stats, right? I currently have Crown of Lucian with all stats, and I have this set charm here with all stats. This will give you, just 2 rolls will unlock everything on the Paragon board. Getting the strength is not that much worse than ranks, and it does give you a bit of additive and a lot of defensive nodes unlocked on the Paragon board, so it's 100% worth it. Other than that, on this setup, just take either martial skills ranks or core skill ranks, which I don't have a single one, but it is what it is. On the second node, just take any resist that you can have, that's gonna be good. And the stat we're gonna be running is Seshron's Fury. Since we're not running Selig, we don't care about the max life, is just a bonus to us, right? And the 60% damage bonus together with 50% increased fury is nothing to scoff at when it comes to increasing your damage, right? It's incredibly good. And this is the this is our note to actually end the video, basically, because I'm fairly certain we covered everything in the build guide. As always, we can jump real quick here to this page. The game just told me, hey, this video is getting too long, end the video, so we're gonna make this quick. When it comes to the mercenaries, right, you can see here, right here, Alduquin, it's the basics, right? Always the same, right here for the bit of damage and defensives, Alduquin for the damage reduction, right? Quite simple. If you need a loot filter, I have the link here to the loot filter. I also have a video that I'll leave in the description if I don't forget, that will also tell you how to basically change the loot filter depending on what you need, show more stuff, hide more stuff depending on where you are in your progression in the end game, right? Other than that, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the build. Let me know if you want to see a video covering the Selig Overpower build, which is right here, right? You can see it, it's right here if you want to see this. This is what people are using for pushing pit. I do want to talk about something. If you go to the pit leaderboards, and I'm not going to name names, but I've seen a content creator currently promoting the exploit of running 2 unique charms together with the mythic that allows you to get to get 5 stats with 4 set items, right? That's an exploit, right? That's an exploit. That's the reason you don't see it here, because I'm not really comfortable promoting exploits, because that might just get your account banned. That's not the same as the Selig and Limitless Rage thing that was happening, that was giving you an insane amount of stacks, right? That was an oversight on Blizzard's end. That was just an unintended thing. It was not an exploit. You're not going out of your way to make it happen. It just naturally happened, right? The thing that you're seeing on ladders and that some content creators are promoting is an actual exploit. You're not meant to be able to run the charm that allows you to just run 4 of the set items and be able to socket in to uniques, right? You're just not able to. You can try right now, try to socket to uniques. You're not able to do that, right? You're not. That's an exploit, and you know that's the reason I'm not recommending it. Other than that, the build that's being run for pushing without exploits is this one. One thing that I'll quickly go over this, I'm currently running Disobedience and I'm running the 200 Sword Expertise here to just increase the tankiness of the build. You can alternatively run either the Axe or the 200 Mace Expertise and just run something like Juggernaut, which will increase your damage by 150%. It's not as good as Disobedience for damage reduction. It's basically like 30-something% instead of 45%. But if it's good enough, you can just sacrifice a bit of tankiness for more damage, right? That's the whole point of running Banished Lords with Selig. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for the video. Let me know how you feel about the build. Let me know if you want me to cover the Selig variant. And yeah, Other than that, thanks for watching. I hope this guide helps you. If you have any questions, leave them down on the comments, or join the Discord and ask them there. And see you next time for more Whirlwind builds. I'll probably have a video talking about the cube, actually how to craft stuff on the cube, and the war plan, because a lot of people have been asking what I'm running on my war plan, so I'll probably have a video out about it soon TM on the channel. But yeah guys, see you next time for more Barbarian content. And Whirlwind specifically, of course, because that's what this channel is about. Bye bye.